process works. Now, we're going to talk about writing your book. I wanted to put this in there to give you hope. This is the glamorous side of writing. Do you like it? Okay? This was, back at the place that I used to live, that was the size of my office, okay? Tiny little thing. And I actually had to clean the desk up for that particular photo. But I just wanted to put that there to give you hope. So many people think, well, my circumstances aren't right now. When I move into a bigger place, or when I have a new computer, or when this happens, or when that happens, then I'll write my book, okay? So, I remember someone saying that you can get results, or you can either have results or excuses, but you can't have both, okay? You can either have results or excuses, but you can't have both. So just think about what are your circumstances and know that anything that you come up with which could stop you, think about that just being an obstacle that you can overcome to achieve your goal. Okay, here we go. Ways of writing your book. There are many ways to write your book. As I said, this is not a writing course. However, there's a couple of important things which you're going to need to know, whether you're a fiction or a non-fiction writer. The first thing that you can do, and it's probably the case if you're a fiction writer, is you can write the entire book yourself. That's the first thing that you can do. So the way that you'd probably some tips for doing that is you're going to carry a notebook around with you everywhere you go. Carry a notebook around. And when you've got 5 minutes, you're waiting for a cab, or when you arrived at a meeting maybe 15 minutes early, you can take that notepad out and you can just write down your ideas. You'll be driving in the car. I normally have a card in my pocket where I can just write down a couple of ideas, then I put it back in my pocket, then I transfer it to a notepad later on, or a notepad on the driver's seat of your car, the passenger seat of your car. So you can do that as well. Carry it around with you. You never know when you're going to get a great idea. And every time we were talking about before the yes and the yes but principle, when you're reading another book, have a notepad next to you when you're reading it. So you think, oh, that's a great idea. I can say something about that. And you can write that point down in your notebook. That's a great little tip. The next one is make the time to write down your ideas. You've got all these ideas in a notebook. You've got to make the time to write them down. That's if you're doing it yourself. Now, I've heard some different ideas on this, and I don't have a particular right way. It's up to you. Trial both. Some people prefer to set an hour or 2 hours a day, and that's when they're going to write their book. And they set the time from 6:30 to 8:30, I'm going to write. Whether that be the morning or the night, you find out if you're a morning person or a night person, you're going to put that time aside. Now, some people attempt to do that, but with their busy lifestyle, it just doesn't work. They may have, get to bed at 2 a.m., so they miss the morning, and then once they get out of that rhythm, it just doesn't really work for them. So that works for some people. For other people, you may want to, as I know some authors do, they go away on a retreat for sometimes 5 days. And that's all they'll do is they'll write. They'll take their computer, they'll disconnect the internet so they can't check emails, they'll leave their mobile phone at home, and they'll leave the hotel room number for their husband or wife if they need to get in touch with them urgently. But that's it. They sit and they write. And I've heard people that have put together a whole book in 4 days, just sat there in front of a computer and wrote their book. For fiction writers, and if it's going to be a thicker book, it may take you 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maybe a month, okay? But remember, you're going to do the job once, you're going to get paid for potentially a lifetime. So it's worth putting that time aside. You've just got to make it and you've got to stick to it. Trial both strategies, see which one is going to work for you. Who's found with their writing, people that have been doing this, that it works better to put aside 1 or 2 hours every day and do it consistently? Who's found that works better for them? Okay, some people who find it's better to go away, have no distractions, and just write for a couple of days solid. Okay, a few people. As you can see, it's kind of 50-50, so see which strategy works for you. Another cool thing, that's why I said before at the beginning, you can write a book without being able to write. As long as you can speak using a program called Dragon Naturally Speaking, and then you can edit the text. So that's a bit of software where you can install on your computer. You attach it with a microphone that you can buy for all of $15, and they're going to ask you a script to read. And that goes into the computer system. It recognizes your voice and how you pronounce your words. That then collaborates all of that, and then you can actually speak, and it will write what you're saying with about 90 to 95% accuracy. Okay, the only thing is sometimes it takes a while to catch up, so don't look at the screen while you're writing because it could be 5 or 10 seconds behind you, so you'll lose your train of thought. So like literally, turn to the side, put the microphone there and speak, and the computer will catch up. And you're just going to talk. You're just going to talk normally about your subject. Now, if you're a confident speaker or a keynote speaker and that's what you do, that'll be pretty easy for you. If you're maybe not a confident speaker, ask a friend to come over. Say, here are the questions, ask me these questions, and I'm going to talk about them, and it's all going to go into the recording equipment. And then once you've got it there, you can actually then edit the book. And it's much easier to do that if you've got a body of information there. So you can maybe get 60, 70, 80% of your book done in a couple of hours sometimes even, depending on how fast you talk. But let's just say it took you 2 days to get 80% of your book down, okay? That's pretty powerful. So that's another great way for people that may not be confident with writing down information, okay? Or could be slow. Maybe they can't touch type and they can't get the ideas out of their head fast enough. Another thing, just to add as well, is a lot of people ask me, well, I've got a book in my computer, but is it enough for a book, okay? And it's a difficult thing. They may have 10,000 words, 20,000, 40,000, 80,000, 100,000. Obviously, for fiction writers, there's no real length to the book. Some books are short, some books are long. It's completely up to you. You'll kind of probably work that out yourself. But for people that are writing non-fiction books, I'd recommend writing somewhere between 150 to 200 pages. So something like that, maybe slightly thicker. That's around about 35 to 40,000 words. I just put that in there because some people, one of the questions that they ask was, how do I know when I've got enough information to have my book published? So they said, I've got this many words, have I got a book? I've got this many words, have I got a book? That's why I put this into this particular product, because that's what the market wanted. But between sort of 40,000 words is a good size. I've got this book here. It's the Property Millionaires book. This one's about 240 pages, a little bit longer, and there's about 60,000 words in this book, just to give you a bit of an idea. That's number one. You can write the entire book yourself. Number two is that you can outsource the writing to somebody else. Outsource it. You can hire a